agenda to add an executive session. Your second? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is public comments. Do we have anything from our public? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to superintendent's report. So it looks like we have a master construction.
Good evening. And I decided rather than superintendent filter a report to you, I asked Paul Anderson, director of, I know I always say it in the wrong order, facilities operations, and there's one more word.
Yeah, facilities.
Facility management and operations.
And I know there's some new board members, and I wanted to give you a background of the project. And I of course made a presentation, and then as I was walking out of central office for days, like, they don't have it set up, and so I'm just going to read it. I'm happy to share it with you if you want.
You're working on getting this up.
So basically, we have money from the American Rescue Plan for Arlington, the Arlington district. It's about $800,000. And before I started, the facilities committee had already identified a project, designed the project. It was ready to rock and roll. So we started. We went through procurement. We went through bidding. We had an open bid meeting where we opened the contractor's bid, and so we've already started this little process to start buying materials, basically. And the very last piece we need is the final state approval through the grant management system, which we've submitted. It's ready to go, and there's a lot of sections to it. It's like historic preservation, and you have to submit an I-renew whatever your firstborn. Like it's comprehensive, but it's done and it's submitted, so we should be seeing that relatively soon. In the middle school and high school, we're gutting and renovating the bathrooms. And then in Fisher Elementary, we're cutting the library in half to make some intervention spaces for COVID recovery. In the high school, the bathrooms are going to cost a little over $340,000. And the library at Fisher is a little over $428,000. We're going to start on June 19th, and we'll be done substantially complete. There'll still be some work to do, but we'll be substantially complete and be able to move stuff back in August 18th. So, if you have questions, concerns, issues, comments, good jokes, rumors?
None of the other stuff. Are you doing every single bathroom, like these and those and down?
So there are the two here and the two here. The bathrooms across from the locker rooms we had to remove from the scope of work because we were over budget when all the prices came in. So there's one door that Sarah and Jamie and I have talked about switching the swing so that will be an accessible door. It'll be ADA accessible once we change the door swing, and then all the dimensions work with the difference between the toilet and the sink and all that good stuff. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
I have a question. I'm just curious. I should have thought of this before, but the way everything's going with everybody else,
Yes.
is there a guarantee they're going to get that done? What happens when they come to us and say, "Oh, we couldn't get that out"?
So I am thrilled to report that we, because as you know, the federal government, there's like money coming out of everywhere, and all the contractors are busy. And the tsunami of work, we were sort of on the front end of it. So we've already ordered the long lead time items. We've already procured, we're already under contract. We have subcontracts all taken care of. So while there's no absolute guarantee, I feel like we're in really good shape. We've been advertising because every other building in the SVSU has a construction project that's either designed or in design. And we've been bidding them out separately and together and asking for pre-qualifications, and everyone's so busy that we're not getting any traction. So it's real out there. I've never seen anything like this, especially with the federal bonding and bid requirements. They're so labor intensive that contractors are like, why would I do school project and jump through these hoops and make less money. So, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. So if you know any bonding HVAC contractors, you just let me know that are interested and not busy.
Is there any such thing?
There is no such thing. So,
We can talk about the UR construction, ready? How we're gonna keep that.
yeah, so we have a meeting set up next Wednesday to walk through the contractor, get them on the job site, go over scope of work, things that we're going to be disrupting, and go over with the occupants in the library at Fisher, what they need to do to prepare and get ready for the construction.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You are really our first project that's gonna go beyond the design, planning, and bidding process, so we'll see how it all goes. And see how you perform, so it's not.
Yes.
It's been a frustrating long process for my between, Renee has also heavily been involved in this process, along with Holly, and the federal requirements for what we have to pay under the Davis Bacon Act. So many contractors in Vermont, it's not, this is not a prevailing wage state. So contractors that aren't connected to program pretty much bid and pay their employees whatever they can, and or negotiate as opposed to having a set rate. So that is a change for some of our contractors. So I think
Yeah.
they remove themselves from the process, but the reporting requirements for the payroll on that, and the other is it requires weekly pay, which is a change for some of the payroll offices of these contractors that are being
Yeah, and some of their financial accounting systems aren't even set up to be able to do that reporting, so they're like, why would I bother? The other update that's not HVAC related is we put out to bid. There's a grant that the SVSU got for a new playground at Bennington Elementary, Molly Stark, and at Fisher. And we sent out an invitation to bid, and we publicly advertised and invited people, and we got not one. So we did get for the grant or the gift for the $25,000. We got one bid and it was way over. So we're working with that contractor to see what we can cut out of scope so we can still be in the realm of the gift for the pre-K.
Okay.
I got one more question, maybe I should direct it towards you, Todd. I mean, in the past, the way things are going today with all this more red tape to go through, in the past, we could have done a project like this on our own.
The biggest difference here is the federal money. When you're dealing with the federal dollars, you're required to pay specific wages. And I'm oversimplifying this. And of course, you're required to basically account for every single dollar, which then drives the cost of labor up. It drives the cost of your administrative costs up, which then, of course, only a few select contractors want to do.
I should rephrase the question. If we were still in the Arlington School District,
Yep.
would we have the capabilities of doing this with the people we have? Would we have to hire somebody from outside?
Nope, the last big project we did, Jamie did the clerk of work position and oversaw it all.
And I think just to add to what you said, Todd, is the administrative piece, like the clerk of the works is the day-to-day on the ground person, the project manager who has to keep track of, I don't know, was that federal money?
Nope.
So
No.
the administration of the project manager is wildly labor intensive. And I don't know that anyone on your staff has that capability, but it's within the entire SVSU, we got a little over $12 million of free money, but with the free money comes a lot of hoops and.
I know in my company, I've decided that I've put forth that we need to hire someone to do this stuff, because it's just mind-boggling the amount of time.
In past projects, they've hired individuals to do that. The last one, because that particular piece, and Jamie was the clerk of works and was able to oversee all that. That was all bond money, so the requirements were nowhere near what the federal.
And the financial reporting was nowhere near what it is for the federal
Yeah,
money.
that's
So
what
Was it a local bond?
Yeah.
Was it local money?
Yeah.
So because it's federal money, we have to go through federal procurement, and we also have to go through the state of Vermont procurement, and whichever's more stringent we have to follow. So that's, the legwork on it is pretty intense.
Any other questions?
the only thing I have is, we're, and me again this morning, as we're ending the legislative session and what bills that may impact education in schools. Concern is the bill for testing of PCBs, which would, it looked like there was going to be a pause on that because of the planning part that doesn't go along with requiring that testing, and maybe you've read about that in your school board association paperwork, because if this bill passes, and as of this morning, it looks like it will, if the testing brings back any results, and I'm not downplaying the seriousness of this chemical in the buildings, but it scares me a little that, especially with the age of some of our buildings, that something may be found and then we're scrambling to where we're going to relocate people. I hope that's not the case, but they did experience that in Arlington, which is what brought this has brought this to the forefront. Like I said, the Superintendent's Association, along with the School Board Association, has asked for a pause, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And the other good, getting back schools here was even advanced reporting of HHB incidents. And again, I'm not in disagreement with it. I think it really should be more of a statewide effort, and not whether it's an office of that within the state government that then consistently tracks that throughout the entire state, as opposed to, again, putting this on to locals and with no funding attached to it. That's
Jim, do you know if they adjusted the levels? Because I know a lot of Arlington, it was initially, now they're just starting at the levels where they probably could have stayed in the building.
I've heard a lot of that, but I don't feel confident that I would tell you.
They haven't put the level in the legislation.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that is there, but it's got a lot of panic going on. Yeah. And that's, my understanding, right, PCB was in oils that were used in electrical transformers as a coolant, and it's no longer used, but in older buildings, you could have transformers that still have that, or had it, that might have had a minor fire or explosion that sent particles throughout a building that nobody even, knew was there.
Kaylee, anything else for the superintendent? Great. Next up is reports of the principals. Mrs. Lacoste, were you looking for?
Thank you. First, lots of thank yous. A huge thank you to our PTG for providing us and planning our Teacher Appreciation Week. Every day the staff has got something special and fun, and so we look forward to the next 2 days of our fun events, so that we are truly appreciative of them. Thank you to Kate Robinson and Christy Wood for a great art show day in Arlington. We had probably 380 people attend the event, and we already debriefed the next morning and are talking about how to make it even bigger and better. So we're super excited about that. The kids were super excited about sharing their artwork, and each of the classes this week have gone over to see the older kids, the show in the library. So we've done, if they weren't able to attend, we've walked them through the hall so we could see other people's work, and then did the story walk, and then over to the library to view the older kids' pieces. We had a sort of an impromptu thank you to Amanda Mullen, who provided us with the smoothie bike for our students one morning. So students were able to enjoy fresh fruit smoothies by a blender attached to the bike. And the older kids were able to use the bike, and the younger kids were allowed to pick which adult should ride the bike while the blender went, and they got to pick their fruits and pieces they wanted in their smoothie. So that was a lot of fun. The PTG this Friday will host bingo. Lots of the kids are coming, talking about playing bingo. And so that will be from 5 to 8 right in the gym. And Daryl Niffen will also host our spring concert on May 25th, and students in grades 3 through 5 will be performing. We're in the midst of our VCAP testing for students in grades 3 through 5, and a thank you to Katie Burke for overseeing that for us. The test is new and different for us, as is the format is somewhat the same, but the content appears to be a little different and much more difficult. So kids are really having a hard time, but we have assured them that they just need to do their best, and that we'll look at their results and help them move forward. So the anxiety of students is down, and we've provided them with lots of afternoon fun activities after they complete the test in the morning time slots. But thank you, Katie. We are planning a pre-K open house May 20. It's either 4 or 6, I can't remember, it's a Wednesday, from 1 to 2, where all of our new incoming pre-K students will have the opportunity to come to the building on that half day of professional development to meet and greet all of the pre-K staff and visit each of the 3 rooms and get some time to meet us and have the opportunity to talk to us, ask their questions, and start planning for the fall. As Holly said, our pre-K playground came back about $38,000. So we're about $13,000 short. So we have reached back out to the bidder, who is the same company who's done both of our playgrounds. So we're just waiting to see what he comes back with and see if we can reach a happy medium, and then maybe try to even do one more push of a fundraiser and see what we can come up with to make that happen. Teachers are busy making class lists, transitioning for next year, finishing up with some of their classes they've been taking in this spring. And today we had a Hill Literacy meeting to talk about making our literacy plan for the next 3 years and having them be a part of that with us. And we'll have another meeting before the end of the year so we can plan for next. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Quick question. So I know a couple meetings ago, you had just heard that day from Kayla Becker with.
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen anything come out.
So there should be a link in last week's weekly, or it'll be in this week's, but there is a link. So they are offering families a full pay option at the Arlington Rec Park.
Okay.
And our 25 slots for recovery went out yesterday. And we have obviously a longer list than 25. So as kids either opt out or in, we're making the list and going down and making sure that our 25 slots are filled. But there should be a link there. I thought it was in last week's, but maybe it'll be in this week too. I kept it in, so there should be a link for you to check.
On the preschool open house or whatever from 1 to 2, how do we, just out of curiosity, how do we get that out to the public so they know about this?
So it's only for the families that have enrolled.
Okay.
So they get a special mailing with a flyer and a letter from the pre-K staff. That's how they.
Leanne, are the pre-Ks filled at this point?
They're not currently filled. We have probably maybe 4 slots, maybe 5. But it's also early, and as people move in, we also get those calls too. So we like to have 4 or 5 slots towards the end of June.
Any other questions for Mrs. Bennett?
Thank you.
Ms. Pickering?
Yes, much of the same as Deanne. We also are doing VCAP testing, 6th, 7th, and 9th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. Mr. Ashman coordinates all of the testing. So he is working on that. Well, it's all scheduled. It's been in, we've also listed it in the weekly newsletter just to let parents know when that is. We are also in the midst of AP testing. We have a lot of different options for students. We do have some students who are test only. So we sign them up with College Board. They don't take the class. but they take the AP exam. We do have to have somebody on site who, I believe we have to have somebody on site who's licensed, even though we don't have the class. You cannot give an AP test in your content, so all of our AP teachers cover each other. So Mr. Cross might do the history, and Mr. Pickering might do the math. So we are doing that right now. Thank you to the Federated Church. They always allow us and the library to do AP testing there when there's very specific regulations for AP testing. So if we can't fit at the library, we use the Federated Church. Federated Church lost heat one day, and the Commons allowed us to do the testing down there last minute. So thank you to all our community partners for that. We have started a Leo Club here, which is the Arlington Lions. It's a student group through the Lions, and they're called the Leo Club. We have quite a few students, I would say between 13 and 15, who are interested in doing that. And they come in every Thursday and talk with the students. It's very student-directed. They do team up with the Lions Club on some activities, but they also are promoting their own community activities. So that has started. A huge thank you again to Miss Wood and Miss Robinson. Our day was amazing. For so many families there, the high school students helped by doing some of the crafts for the families, which was great. Very well organized. The art is fantastic. On that note, we also had a number 2 second place for the Congressional Art Award, and also the Bennington County honorable mention. We're both Arlington students this year, which was great. I also have pictures if anybody wants to see. They'll be in the newsletter this week. Our booster club is up and running. We have consistently about 6 parents on that. We're doing the flamingo fundraiser. We've sold about 70 flamingos. We also have, which is great, I thought, and we also have magnets for kids that they'll be doing it in school, little flamingo magnets. So they'll be participating as well. YMCA did a job fair here, looking for students from Arlington to work at the Arlington camp, which went off really well. Had good attendance. I've had a couple of students come in looking for help how to, fill out applications, and we've been working with them. And we've gotten a lot of calls this year about looking for summer employment. So we have an employment board. We make announcements about employment, and we may have representation from Equinox Terrace coming. They have a lot of jobs this summer for school-age students. And so they're going to come during advisory and do a little job fair as well to try to get students to apply. We also engaged in seizure training for all staff during our professional development through the Epilepsy Foundation. We have teacher and staff, all staff appreciation day ends up being the week, which we love. Our booster club is helped out with some of that. Thank you to Jess, who is coming on Friday to give us ice cream. And then there's just little prizes throughout the week for staff. We are really busy right now planning for next year. We feel like we have feet in 2 years. We're working on our continuous improvement plan. We met with the leadership team yesterday. We're working on handbooks, the master and bell schedule, multi-tiered system of support manuals, and also our summer recovery program. So we'll be offering a middle school summer academy for 4 weeks. Lynn McClough and Brian Howe teach that. It's an interdisciplinary program that works with students who may be struggling or are interested in whatever program they're offering. They've done Peterson's Pond, but they incorporate all the content areas into the week and have fun too. And then in the high school, we do credit recovery. So students who are may be missing a few proficiencies in a certain content area, and could make that up over the summer. We have Mr. Cross, Mr. Pickering, Mr. Krieger, and Mr. Howe, who are teaching math, science, English, and social studies. And it's a very independent, it's a supported independent study. So we use Google Classroom where students work on their own, at their own pace with access to the teachers in that content area, with hopes of recovering some credit going into the next year. Some dates coming up. May 16th, we have the National Honor Society induction and the National Chinese Honor Society induction. May 19th, we have our middle school play. The 20th is the prom. May 24th, we have our spring vocal concert. May 31st, we have our spring instrumental concert. June 2nd is the Vermont State Division 4 track meet at the Manchester Rec Park. We are looking for volunteers. Students can get community service hours. It is also that evening is our speaking contest, and then our graduation is on June 10th at noon.
Thank you. Any questions?
This program with the kids coming during the summer, getting caught back up to many actually do that. And
It varies in the years that I've done it. Some years the years we made them come to school, we didn't have as much participation as we do if they have an independent study, work at your own pace, because what that allows kids to work, have summer jobs, and do the work at night, do the work on the weekends. Our teachers are available in the evenings, on weekends, kind of whatever works for the students. Last year, I think we invited about 15 and had 6 that came.
so you actually invite them, it's not, some of them can't just sign up if they want to.
So it's typically students who have failed a class.
Yeah.
If they have like a 10 in the class, which I'm being extreme, it would be very hard for them to recover that credit over the course of 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But we usually look at students who have not been successful in class, somewhere around 50%. 60 is a passing grade for Arlington. And so if they're somewhere around 50, then we look at what proficiencies did they not meet. And the teacher targets a very specific group of proficiencies that they didn't show they knew in those 5 weeks. So it is an invitation.
I'm impressed you get something to do with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Some of them, the sophomores and juniors, it really can hold them back from engaging in the courses that they want to sign up for if they're not passing the class. So you do get some.
Mr. Howard is what the teacher around here. Any other questions from the speaker?
I have a question on attendance. Do you guys recognize students with like perfect attendance through the year? Or doesn't that happen?
We don't recognize students with perfect attendance. We haven't in the past. I know that it is part of the attendance policy at the SVSU level. We haven't in the past because we found that especially during COVID.
Sure.
And we also found that some students were coming to school when they maybe shouldn't be. And we'd rather have healthy school environment than recognition for perfect attendance. We do definitely praise students who have positive, consistent attendance.
I say this to my sister, 7 years of perfect attendance. Not me, 7 years.
Quick question, the
Yeah.
middle school program for the summer, is that going to be based on, like, do they have to qualify for that to participate?
So what we typically do is we look at students who are in need of the recovery service first. And then depending on what that number looks like, we have had years where we have allowed students who want to do a week, based on those numbers. And we'll meet next Wednesday I met with the 7th, 8th grade team today, and I'll meet with 6th grade next week, and we'll start looking at what those numbers are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have our consent agenda, which everybody saw. The minutes, our warrants are being passed around to be signed. We have no retirements. We have no leave of absences. We have no resignations. All are good things. We have 2 nom forms in your packet. Samuel Radley for the elementary school teacher, who's replacing Shirley Casey, who is retiring, and Sarah Stewart, custodian at MHS. And we have no field trips. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or any discussion?
I had a question on, I noticed on Mr. Radley's, that he is certified, but it runs out in 2025, I believe. Do you know how much progress has been? Well, you may not know until next year. But I'm assuming you.
That is something up to the individual teacher.
Right. I understand that.
So I would assume that if they want to stay employed, they will keep their certification current.
Okay. That was the only thing I noticed it was coming up soon.
Can we ask
He was
the-
teaching at, I don't know if it shows up, we released him from his contract at Molly Stark, that's where he's currently teaching.
And he's had 1 year experience?
Yes. 1 year at Molly Stark, I don't know if he had it before he became close.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next, we have finance. That's in your package for your review. We have no policies. And we have our FYI, which is our budget status, and our student enrollment, which is also in your packet. So before we go to executive session, is there any discussion or anything else to be brought to the board? Great. Then the chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session for a personnel matter.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Oh, and just for the record, I'd invite Superintendent Colkeen, HR Director Nick Gold, and we need all of you. Just go through it.
Oh, I shouldn't say that. I don't know what it's about. Nah.
Tom,